Buddy, and welcome back to the MenoLounge this week. This is our monthly series that we do with our in-house experts, and today we have our favorite doc. We have a lot of favorite docs, but especially Dr. LaReesa, and we're talking about Meno tech trends in 2025. So I'm going to bring her up and let's go. Here we go. All right, Dr. LaReesa, I know you're standing by because we were chatting. So I know you're there. Hey, Angela, how are you? It's always good to see you. I think you're on next week. Can't wait to have you. Here comes Dr. Oh, with lipstick and everything.
I made sure I had lipstick on for this one.
As I said, we were chatting in the green room, which just means texting. And you said, I'm going to put my lipstick on. I'm like, I better go comb my hair then. Okay, wait. I have to start with our favorite tech trend, which is food, nutrition, food tech. And I'm waving PBC, that's peanut butter chocolate for us, around because we have something super exciting happening this weekend. So check post here, come back on MenoWell. If you're on the list, go to our website on Saturday. I'm telling you, because 8 grams of protein, 7 grams of fiber. If that is not food tech, I don't know what is. And something special is happening with peanut butter this weekend. Major. Major. So, LaReesa, now that we've talked about food tech, we're going to talk about Meno tech specifically because I don't know what you love better, medicine or technology or the combination or what, right? So
Definitely the combination. I would say how I bridge modern medicine with holistic wellness. That's my jam, because it's all about well-being, quality of life. Women now, they recognize that the traditional system is not doing everything that it can because it's broken.
Right.
And they're starting to outsource how they use different tools to manage their symptoms and health. And I couldn't think of anything more wise, of course, since by 2030 there'll be a little over 1 billion women in menopause or postmenopause, right?
1.2 billion is what I keep seeing.
1.2 billion. So I mean, this is where it's at. So if you notice that all of a sudden your tracker is asking you or putting more blogs out there toward perimenopause and menopause, because they recognize that that is an area that we need to focus on.
Absolutely. I love it. We're getting all the comments right here already. So I saw you said hello to Angela, and then Coach Kay Lane said that MenoWell bars are her go-to on ski days. Oh yeah, so perfect in your pocket, especially when they get warm, that PVC. So good. Let's jump into it. Hi, Midtown Physical Therapy. We got some new folks here today. Super fun.
Nice.
Okay, let's
Hi, everybody.
Go right on in. And if you have questions, post them here because especially on our monthly series, we want to answer your questions. You have Dr. LaReesa here, so hello.
Yeah. So I love having the opportunity to touch on this. So once again, hi, I'm Dr. LaReesa Ferdinand. Not only am I a board certified OB/GYN, but I'm an integrative and menopause healthcare specialist. I own a practice here in Orlando, Florida, Thrive Beyond Wellness, where I help women over 40 optimize their hormones so they can age well, thrive now, by using modern medicine and bridging that with holistic wellness. And yes, as Julie had mentioned, that's the thing. I wanted to be a unicorn in this space of, seeing a doctor that's geeking out on things in technology, but using it for good. And that's the thing now with large language model, like machine learning, things are extending in so many different ways. But the thing is, you may not notice oftentimes how even AI or areas that you're reaching for or searching for in your Google bar, we talked about that, is really changing the game as far as access. So I want to talk about not only some top trends, and if we're able to go through the 5 that I want to highlight today, but look at it from terms of where we are, what are the gaps still in the space that it's going to continue to evolve, And as you know, what does it look like moving forward? And I think the biggest one is talking about the trends in technology with
Mm,
access and information of care. And we've seen that the
mm,
biggest with virtual health, right? But I mean, that's
huge.
technology
Right.
meeting of, I mean, it's meeting a problem. And so
Hmm.
every problem that evolves into a particular solution, sometimes it's not always thinking tech, 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 you know, like your smartphone and smartwatch, which we'll get to that in a second, but some of the accessibility. So think of, you know, areas that don't have a type of care in particular areas of menopause management
Yeah.
or dealing with women's health altogether, or it's not meeting the needs. I mean, come on, millennials now are part of this generation, you know, so we're not,
Crazy, right? I mean,
right?
pretty soon we're going to have
Absolutely.
our Generation Z's, you know, in this convo. But no, it's really an important
Mhm.
part, the accessibility, because
Yes.
we know we don't have enough menopause doctors, right? Like
Hmm.
what, a little over 1,200 that are trained in menopause
Hmm.
nationwide. That means
Hmm.
there's a huge gap in access. So
Huge gap.
having virtual access,
Hmm.
telemed, critical to serve as many women as possible in this
Hmm.
specific area, not in just regular old, you know, general.
Absolutely. And this is where we're seeing more communities becoming more built, more conversations, just like here on my MenoWell. This is building a wonderful community around nutrition and eating, but it also is talking about hot topics, areas of how women have transitioned in midlife and budding careers, and oftentimes really drilling down on true experiences that people have built companies and communities out of.
Right.
So this accessibility in the technology space and what social networking and extension is able to do has really extended, you know, beyond just virtual platform, but really building communities and stuff around it. And but like I said, I wanted to mention not only from the standpoint of looking at the access of virtual care and apps of information where people can, you know, be able to look up based on symptoms or based on things they're experiencing. But here are the gaps, really, of taking that and being able to still be on guard with your, still have a conversation with your doctor, you know, because many times, even despite being on certain virtual platforms, you're still having to have some of this continuation of conversations with your local or community
Right.
physicians, and it
That was
becomes
my
confusing.
situation. Right.
Yeah,
Doubling
you know.
down on virtual support and then back with my local doctor or back and
Hmm.
forth. So yeah, no, I love that. And LaReesa,
Absolutely.
look, Coach K Lane said she recently used AI to organize years of lab results to present to a new HRT provider. So
Ah,
that's a good use of that, right?
nice,
Um,
nice. Yeah, I
and
would. I've been using AI in so many different ways. And so just to, you know, meet the gap for accessibility, that was one of the reasons why I really wanted to still open up a hybrid clinic where I'm able to see patients virtually and in person, because it's still that connection that was feasible, but most importantly, being that stopgap for them as well, where because of my background in certain areas and getting advanced training, I'm able to kind of close that loop for a lot of them as well. So and continue the conversation in a way where it makes sense for them, where you get personalized care, more values-based care, and not in the weeds care, right? Because a lot of us are still in weeds, right? So that makes a big difference. I think another gap outside of interpretation, application, and, you know, meeting somewhere with a healthcare provider along that guidance is really still making sure that information is diversified, it's equitable, people can really see their menopause journey as well, because they may not have had good examples within their family, because they didn't talk about it, they overlooked it, or someone told them just deal with it. So many of these areas of community, areas of platforms that give you information, whether it's through app based or social networking. And then sometimes that can be difficult to discern, what's out there. But some of even the machine learning behind there is really trying to fill in those gaps. So as it looks forward, I mean, honestly, of course, all of us know we've moved into a new administration. So a lot of that will boil down to whether this becomes something solely from private private businesses or private companies that are built out, or whether there will be a standstill from the government piece is really funneling money and research in these areas that is so much needed, and really, extending that advocacy. So that's something to look forward to in the future. So the second one I wanted to go to was wearables. Like, that's a big trend. So
I still don't have my Aura ring. I go.
But you have a cute ring, though. That's a cute ring. That's a
My
very
power,
cute ring.
but
It's a
okay, keep
powerful
going. Talk about the wearables.
Yeah, so it's different wearables out there, because you have your smartwatch, you have your, as you mentioned, I'm going to say wearable rings, or if it's an Oura ring, or they're coming out with the Ava ring, and there's other makeups of rings similar. And some of that research is still evolving, and as it relates to personalizing certain things as well. You have certain devices that are controlling your hot flushes. So I believe you had a Mirror Health on here before, because they had launched their Terra for hot flash relief and sleep, and there's still some that are really assisting and helping. And sometimes we forget, because I mentioned the millennial group as well. These women are still menstruating and probably still suffering from endometriosis or fibroids. And so now you have devices and technology that are wearables that people can put around their waist to help with pain. I've been to a couple of pitch contests where people are really addressing endometriosis. And, these are things that women are still experiencing as they go or head into their 45, 50-year-old selves, which are going to start impacting by other symptoms, from hot flashes.
And PCOS also.
And PCOS, exactly.
Yeah. Huge
so technology, yeah, absolutely. And so what I find when I partner with a woman and we're following certain things about it, I use a lot of those trackers to really understand what are they doing, what is their personal data when they're not with me. So even if it's from a tracking standpoint, even if it's from, okay, our goal was just to get you moving, right? And so you have I'll give a good example. Sedentary work and people working from home has been a big issue, where even taking note of how, even if it's just the limited, okay, how many steps did I take a day? Just having that accountability of what that number looks like at the end of the day, understand what that intervention looks like once you start seeing that number change. And then a lot of this machine learning will start prompting suggestions and things that you're able to do. And so when I talk about the trends of metabolic type health, it gets so personalized where, down to, this is the type of food you need to eat. These are the things that you notice over time. And it comes to the point of, when we talk about where the gaps exist, is really going back to, okay, so I see this score. Now, what does it mean now? What do I do with this now?
That's important. Like, okay, great. We have all these trackers for all the things, right? But what do you do with that? So
yeah, what do you do with it? So my biggest thing, because those women who, that I discuss, those results, and if I'm following certain things that they're experiencing at the time, suppose that, let me give an example. They're tracking their menstrual cycles, but we're also potentially, now they're phased out of their cycles. Their computing still carries that information, but now we're looking at sleep and hot flushes. And okay, so we added progesterone, so we potentially added magnesium, and we're doing these other things. That becomes a measure of personal data. Is it gauging? Is it changing outside of just clinical symptoms? are there other things that we're looking at that becomes a KPI? I speak of that a lot, whether it's in serum blood markers, from a fasting insulin to a fasting sugar to understanding what your hemoglobin A1C is or your target testosterone level or any of those type of things. Now it becomes, if you're changing your sleep, your fitness, or nutrition, and you feel a certain way, are those things able to also account for different like gauges? So when you see that number, you're like, oh, I did this last week. This is why I feel more rested. This is potentially why I got a better score than before.
Looking at that data over time. So you might not, because that's what we're looking at, right? With all analysis, a body of information that we can optimize, because it's hard to optimize and feel the difference in the moment. You know, it takes time, especially with natural, non-pharmaceutical strategies. It takes time. So you need to really look at that data. So let's go back to Coach K's question. Is there any technology out there for explaining the broad range of test results that are helpful in perimeno? You know, kind of what we're saying, like you've got maybe, you know, there's if so, also on the Dutch test, but whatever, we'll leave that aside. But, you know, like you've got the Dutch test, you have your other things that you're doing online, or, you know, you're tracking this or that. Like, what do we do with, is there a way to aggregate all that data other than a spreadsheet?
Yeah, right. And honestly, that is a really good question, because as a physician, I have physician related platforms and things because I have access to. But on a consumer level, I am interested in knowing maybe there is something out there that, you know, maybe someone does and utilizes it. But I often will either I use some information technically that I give to patients and walk through. But there are even certain YouTube people that I would say, okay, this is a good explanation of target if this is something that you're not understanding, you know, or something that is not clear. But like a composite, you know what, I'm still looking for that. And especially on a consumer level, I think on a physician or a provider or clinician level, there are different things that I have access and pull from. But on a consumer level, if it's not a specific test, like you had mentioned, Dutch has a wonderful library of things that relates to physician and patient information. So it can kind of help guide someone, but this is, you know, this is a more functional medicine-based test. It's more integrative. Yeah, exactly. But it can tell you, I love it. It can tell you a world of information that can be useful and very preventive and proactive. Like that's the sense. We're trying to be less reactionary and more preventive. So maybe that's, you know, the best idea out there, or compiling some of those things.
Like an opportunity to me.
Right. Or, and like I said, it may be out there and I'm just not on that algorithm. You know, I'm on everybody else's algorithm.
Right. I don't know.
So I mean, I know.
All right, Coach K, take it away. That's for you to figure that one out. I'm sure AI can go a long way with that.
Absolutely.
Really good. Okay, what else? And Angela, let's see. Health Coach Angela says, do you like Inside Tracker? Is that the name of it? Inside Tracker? Familiar with that?
And I was trying to look. I don't know why I'm not getting the questions. All I see is the high one. Let me see if I did something wrong. No, I didn't. You said Insight. Is that right?
She said Inside Tracker syncs it all together. Oh, maybe that's what she's Inside Tracker. Is that something we should check out, Angela? We can go take a look at that.
Let me know if it's on a because I have used there's a platform called Heads Up where I can funnel information from people's wearables, and it's a HIPAA based platform, and using those particular data points, or I share within my HIPAA, you know, patient-based platform. So those are things where you can get aggregates of information all at once, where it can pour into what's going on. And as that information refines and improves with machine learning, there's still some more, you know, things that are going to develop to come. I think the biggest thing is really trying to make sure that whatever's replicated is replicated and refined and produced based on a larger pool of people, so we are all represented equitable, right?
Huge point.
That's
Women,
so
people of
important.
color, etc., versus
Exactly.
one gender,
Mhm.
one type of person.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and I think that's hugely important, and it's a common thing. So any issue that you've seen in the technology space that's been a challenge of representation of what the world looks like globally
Mhm.
has been an issue of people feeling like I'm not being seen, or it's
Mhm.
not necessarily representative
Right.
of where I stand in my
Yeah.
experience. So
And as
makes a big
Dr.
difference.
Stacy Sims says, we're not small. We're not little men. We're not small men.
Yes.
So, right?
Not at all. Not at
Right.
all. Not at
Okay,
all.
so
Okay.
Angela, health coach Angela, and Angela, I'm pretty sure you're on the MenoLounge next week. If you confirm that,
Hmm.
if you want to. She said yes, that inside tracker,
Hmm.
it tracks blood work and your trackers all in
Okay.
one. So maybe
Okay. And
Angela,
it
we
will
can talk
tell
about that.
you, and it will, and I don't know why I'm not able to see the messages anymore. I just wanted to confirm on a consumer basis, it will tell you target ranges, follow, or does it collect it all so you can share it with your doctor? Because that's one of the things I think above all, when you are able to aggregate the information and share it with your physician outside of just getting the blood test, they can at least follow what's going on outside of it, because many of us don't share half of the stuff we're using at home
Yeah,
with our
exactly.
doctors.
Right. Unless you're Coach K and Angela, and they've done that work, right? So,
Um,
okay, so Health
mhm.
Coach Angela will be on the MenoLounge on Tuesday. So
Okay,
stay
good.
tuned.
Yeah.
Angela,
Hmm.
be ready. We are going to dive deep on that.
Yeah. Okay.
And she said doctors love it. So we'll loop
Okay.
you in, Dr. LaReesa. I think that would be
Okay.
great.
Absolutely. Because obviously I use a different one and not that one. And I'm
And you
sure
two
there's
are
even
both
more
in
stuff out
Florida.
there.
Didn't you meet
We're
at
in both Florida, and I'm gonna put. We're supposed to be doing an IG live later this month, but I have to make an emergency trip. And honestly, I was just like, I hope she doesn't hate me. I swear I want to do this with her.
Well, she won't. And because I think I connected you two at Dr. Vonda's event when we were there
Yeah,
at Lake Nona,
Florida.
right? And
Hmm.
was that in
Yes,
November?
yes, and
November.
we've shared many emails, but
Oh,
we're
good.
gonna get it together. Yeah, for
Good.
sure.
All my
Hmm.
favorite people in one spot. I love it so
Yeah.
much. All right.
Hmm.
Okay. What
So,
else do we have for tech trends?
uh,
I know you got a list there.
metabolic health, when we think about metabolism is a sequence of all the different reactions to produce energy to make our bodies do what they need to do every day. And there is a big compounding gorilla out there, and that's the environment, right?
Mm.
So it's between the toxic things that are around, the toxic things that could be in our food, the toxic people we may have in our lives, you know.
That, that's huge.
That is
At
so
least we can
huge.
see those. The other stuff we can't see all the time, but those people, the people we can get rid of that.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah. So when we think of that, these are solutions that could track, important markers. And I think one of my favorites, and I think you've definitely with Nutritious Barb on here, is how to use continuous glucose monitors. There's different companies that have come out with their own singular device and platform for people to understand how their body responds to food. So going further than just the one insight check of my blood serum this day, like, okay, I ate the watermelon and I know exactly what my blood sugar was an hour or 2 hours after versus what my response was to a sandwich or any other type of food. What I've noticed when people have done this, and this is just using CGMs, but really looking at metabolic health, understanding how blood sugar management is, because that's going to impact weight loss. That's going to impact the frequency or severity of certain menopause symptoms like hot flushes, night sweats, even how you sleep and how you crave and hunger and etc. But the big one is, just the battle of the middle is like what you like to call it. These are the women who are really looking for personalized insights to help frame their nutritional diets better. And sometimes you can get that insight immediately within, just even doing it for 14 days.
Yeah.
Have you
With a
seen all the
CGM,
recipes
right?
out there
A
and you feel like
continuous
you're
glucose
eating
monitor.
better, but
Yeah.
you're plateauing potentially sometimes these things have been very good to like really get over that next tweak, really get over, okay, this is how my body responds. This is what's going on. So there
Can
are a
I
lot of
say,
things, you
I
know.
think I love a continuous glucose monitor because it is a peek inside your
Mm-hmm.
body. This is what we
Mm-hmm.
can't see. And we think we're eating certain things, like maybe you may
Mm-hmm.
choose a keto friendly bread, which, true confessions, I bought some of that. It's not good. And I'm sure my body doesn't like it, but you think you're doing something better.
Uh-huh.
And then all of a sudden you're checking your glucose monitor and you see that, oh, my body doesn't like that thing at all that I
Mm-hmm.
thought was good. So it's such a wonderful window. And I love that you remind everybody that if you are on a fat loss journey, I like to say more than weight loss, right? Because we're trying to get rid of the fat,
Mm-hmm.
keep the muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Release the
then
visceral fat.
yeah, the visceral fat, the kind around the middle that
Mm-hmm.
is not our friend at all. We can really see these little nuances that can help us, because it can be discouraging. You think you're doing all the things and nothing is happening, and you're like, oh, now I can see
Yeah.
why.
Exactly. Right.
Choose.
And it really does make a difference. I mean, even those who are doing GLP-1 therapy, I love, the patients that I do weight loss and weight management with GLP-1. I love like bragging about my patients don't have little necks that look like little, like we are really retaining muscle. We're
Right.
really, like it's a healthy weight management and optimizing hormones. And so taking a step further, because nutrition ends up being a very big challenge for busy women, professionals still taking care of families who want to do what they do. And it's hard to, just stay on sync of certain things. Even though meticulous, one of the ones that I am learning so I can help teach patients or clients that have bought it, because we're just coming off of Black Friday and all the holiday sales, right? It's the Lumen, so that's the metabolic tracker. So that's the one you breathe in.
Lumen,
Lumen.
Lumen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Uh-huh. So it is following a CO2 exchange of breath and evaluating how much fat burning you're in and how much carb you're in. And I mean, none of these companies pay me or anything like that, but these is what I consider one of the biggest issues with, okay, well, I can't really count calories. Macros are important, but then I get all confused with that and I can't stay consistent. And they need a little bit more structure. They need a little bit more guidance. They need something that personalized, like, okay, I did a really good workout. Do I need to go ahead and bump that carb instead of staying in this kind of low carb, moderate carb state? And so as these different metabolic trackers are adding more of that machine learning, that artificial intelligence, over time, these things are going to refine even more based on the data that they're producing and that they're integrating into their system. So that's one of the ones, even though it's kind of, you have to stay on top of it to really understand what your body's doing. I get the science. I think it's something, as a trend to look out for, just like following your body composition. I do DEXA scans versus the InBody because it's the gold standard of evaluating your muscle, your fat, excuse me, and your bone structure. And you don't, and this is something that you can do. I mean, you can just literally Google DEXAs in your area, and my patients get a discount at a local one. But I mention a lot of these things from a metabolic point of view, because even here in the Meno room, we've talked about cardiovascular health, bone health, reducing chronic disease, ability to be mobile and active for as long as possible, because your body is a system, right? It's a system and it likes to work well in a system. And in order for us to be proactive, we have to think outside of the box of what is the possibility that my body can do that I can age better than those before me. So a lot of that new technology. And so that's what I want to pull it as. Don't think of it as just a computer or something where it just seems invading and, just putting your personal data out there. All those should be things you should be concerned about, because there needs to be more oversight and more meticulous areas that companies have to, because the world is ever changing and people are hacking. However, if you're someone that really wants to understand how your body ticks, these are some options in the technology grid that really help out. We just, once again, need to understand how to interpret it, how to apply it to our specific circumstance, and really navigating between those equitable solutions where it looks like something that your journey can look like. So
I love that.
that's a big
So
one.
good.
Okay.
So we've got access.
Mm-hmm.
We've got continuous glucose monitors. We have a
Mm-hmm.
wearable.
Wearables.
We
Mm-hmm.
have apps to track
Mm-hmm.
the inside and the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Lumen, which I didn't
Mm-hmm.
know about.
Mm-hmm.
Lumen. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. What
I'm
else?
on their algorithm, so I get to see them a lot.
Okay. All you have to do is click one time on anything and you're going to see all the things.
That's why I don't know about Insight, because I'm getting all these other ones. So
Right. And I love
yes.
that you mentioned, though, don't be afraid of the tools. And yes, we have privacy issues, and so be prudent around that.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to take the approach of like, my stuff is so out there anyway. Most of us, we are so much more exposed than we think we are, wide open. And so,
Just opening
weigh
Google.
the cost. What?
I said, just opening Google. I'm just like, you
Right.
Google
Google yourself.
everything, and that's
Like,
supposed to be safer.
right. And so look at the cost benefit of hopping on these platforms or trying out these tech tools.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it might feel a little bit scary, and privacy issues, but the cost benefit can be so much more important than being worried about a little bit of privacy exposure. Just saying.
Yeah.
So make your own decision. You're
Mm-hmm.
grown up. You're a badass woman. You can figure it out. But just know that, these tools, they're there to help. They really can be very helpful. So
Absolutely.
Angela says, what do you think about the Whoop? I have my thoughts about the Whoop. What do you think about
And
Whoop?
that is a wearable I should have mentioned, because one thing that they have done, because I try to follow just changes in a company and as they're growing, is they're really trying to build out just like the Oura Ring, that women's health platform to be a go-to for those, not only for high performers and high athletes, but for those who are trying to, just like the Nike thing, just do it. Like, everybody can be an athlete, right? So I think that's their take on their technology. As far as, yes, we branded ourselves as, really a go-to for elite athlete, but this can also be a tool for anyone. And they're really trying to build a lot of information and learn more about women's context. I mean, I think as long as companies see the value in that and they're growing with that and understand, and I think the more there's some practical sense in having conversations, so just if you're listening out there, having conversations and making sure with physicians or clinicians who are really into it, and to see what that digital health guide is. I think once the access is there, the science will be there as well. But really tapping into what that looks like. So yes. So Whoop is one of those that is really good as well.
Whoop is for primarily sleep tracking, but they're really expanding through that.
Fitness. They're large on fitness and sleep.
Okay.
And then so the trend is really following symptom management and control. So what I mean by that is I'm going to specifically talk about devices for the vagina, right? Symptoms
Go in there.
So for pelvic pain, or helping out with vaginal dryness, or areas of where you feel like you might have been a little bit more incontinent. So you have those areas where it could be very app-based, not only in symptom tracking, but allowing you to be connected with either a coach or like for instance, a pelvic trainer or something, to give you options of what you can do at home, and then also with expertise outside of it. Shameless plug, because I have launched a pelvic, I call it a pelvic power program in my practice, where I'm using the Joy Lux device, and PT, pelvic PT. So really trying to get focused, like a beta data for, and what it's good for women who might have those particular symptoms. But most importantly, you know, you don't have to get those very expensive devices or tools that may be, you know, treatments in a doctor's office, of stuff that you can possibly do at home with physician and expert guidance. So given another option of that, where that may be a more secondary tool if the primary tools don't necessarily work, and you don't have to depend on another pill, you know, or medication or surgery. So that's how I see the symptom management with some of the pelvic tools. They have the Leva pelvic system and a couple of other ones that are out there as well. Evie, I think, is the other, not Evie, but it's I'm losing the name, sorry. It'll come to, but other pelvic trainers. That's why, because that's why I try not to name too many names, because then I'll forget.
But that's a good
other
thing,
pelvic
that
trainers.
speaks to tools and technology and products and services that are coming on board to help women, and mostly created by women for women. Because we need all of these things, because not everything works for every person, every woman who is going through this experience. So we need all the choices.
Yes, having the options and things that are becoming more very much B2C is like, one thing I like about JoyLux, they're really trying to tap into OBGYNs and clinician providers and have that as a first round or first rung, to have that connection, and something that physicians or clinicians can be able to offer along with HRT to really build. I just know the benefit of adding, you know, a physical therapy with it, a pelvic floor therapist, you know, someone that can guide. And I love talking to them, because their goal is that you are able to do it on your own, not for you to have to be dependent on them. So it's a beautiful thing when you can edge or bridge traditional or alternative therapies along with this technology to really get the personalized and the optimized results that many of us are looking for, without necessarily adding another surgical or a surgical management or a pill in your pill box. So things that can act synergistically.
Don't forget to invite me when you do your live with Halle Berry on JoyLux, okay?
Oh my gosh, let me tell you. So shameless plug, somebody want to share that with her as well. This is data that I'm producing on that level, because even last year, in doing a live with the CEO of this company, it was good to, you know, hear what her responses from her clients and customers were having, because oftentimes those are shared in these individual communities and platforms that won't be necessarily shared with someone's personal physician. So you're getting additional insights when you're bridging these communities, companies, and fields of study out of solving a problem, you know, solving a problem at its end. So love that. And I think the fifth one I wanted to mention, which I think is important across the board, is when it comes to menopause management, because a lot of us, you know, we may focus on, like, yes, the hot flushes, the vaginal dryness, and etc. But many women who come to me, the anxiety, the depression, the mental well-being is huge. And I think across the board, there has been a lot of lifts of people addressing mental health and well-being, whether it's from retreats to apps to having a virtual component so you can be able to address these concerns. It's like the accessibility of addressing, you know, what's between our ears. I think that has shown so much growth, because this is a area where women are impacting changes of careers, changes in relationships, changes in, you know, their family dynamics altogether, and changes in their body. And that is huge. I mean, so huge. And just the recognition of how this is that was underserved, and the migration of people addressing that, and especially targeting women heading into menopause and beyond. I think that is a really good trend to follow, because it's really trying to address, well, if you don't want to sit in somebody's chase or go to their office, okay, well, maybe you want to do it on your phone, or maybe you need to understand the practice of meditation, or maybe it's joining a community that's basically set on other women who look like you experiencing that, and getting down to the niche from I lost my spouse, to I divorced my spouse, to I have a chronic problem, or I used to have cancer. I mean, they're getting so niche down with some of these areas that really impact our mental health, that happens at this crucial age and
Yeah.
season of life.
Yeah.
And so I think that is one of the trends that technology is trying to bridge, is the accessibility of that, and making sure to reach the masses of this 1.2 billion people of women that's coming.
Yeah.
At a time, what people don't know, there's a statistic out there that says by 2030, we'll have approximately 3,500 less OBGYNs practicing.
Oh no.
Yeah, right. So understand there's so many
not
dynamics.
a good convergence. So
That's not a good
menopausal women are going like this, and qualified doctors are going like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not good, unless you want to go to medical school, scoot your kids into med school, and they'll be in high demand.
And pay all those bills.
Right. No. That's all.
So it puts more into the onus of having other options available, other tools, greater understanding of how to add the interpretation, add more of the application, the practical things at a level where people feel that they can see themselves in this experience and not feel shame around it. Yeah. And once you're able to do that, and also get the medical community on board with really having the same message about how they address it or similar, I think can make a big difference of how the canvas or the landscape of women's health really looks like. So like you said, I mean, we're incorporating millennials, but then how about, the subsequent generations thereafter? It's going to have to, because they see the world so different. I mean, they're already digital.
They were born digital. Seriously. Digital. Wow, I love this. And kind of just to pull all this together, technology enables us and gives us information and access, and all of those things are really what empower us. That's what it's for. These are resources. So don't be afraid of technology. Try all the things. LaReesa, she tries all the things. If you're curious, just reach out to her, just DM her. She can tell you like 1-to-1 what the thing is and how it, because she has all the devices, all the stuff. And but it's what gives us the power in this stage of life during perimenopause and menopause, because the more information we have, the better choices we can make for ourselves to ultimately feel more energetic, more confident in who we are as we navigate a very uncertain, bumpy, windy road through all the stages of menopause. So jump on board, embrace the technology, try something this week. Why don't you go download a new app or something? Talk to a friend about it, and really just use these tools in 2025. Tech in menopause. Here we go, A to Z, to have a better experience. If you have any questions, where are they going to find you, Dr. LaReesa?
Yes, so definitely follow me at Dr. LaReesa on IG, or come visit me on my website, thrivebeyondwellness.com. And on MenoWell lounges once a month on Thursdays. So, and let us know what you want to talk about. What's an additional conversation? I think one of the things that maybe we can, something I thought about today, I was like, women really need to know how to navigate the system, like really understand the questions potentially to ask, because like many of us, it probably took everything in our power just to show up and to make the appointment.
Right.
Then to show up, then to, sit and do whatever in the lobby until you get back there. And sometimes you just be amazed. It's like, oh, I meant to ask, or I meant to, and then all that time you've been scrolling and SEOing and all that, and you covered maybe like a small fraction of
Right.
what you wanted to talk about. And what does that look like in order for you to optimize your healthcare experience? Because you need to be an active participant.
Okay.
That you cannot
Proactive.
just do a drive-by with
Yeah.
healthcare.
Yeah.
No drive-bys.
No
You have to,
drive-bys.
yeah.
I love it. Okay, so let's write that down and we'll tell Laura so we don't forget for next time. Like, because what are we going to talk about? I don't know. I don't know. Okay. Because that's how it works.
Navigating your hormone health and healthcare. Yeah, that sounds good.
Huge. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's it. Don't forget, go to my MenoWell on Saturday to find a huge surprise flash sale.
Okay.
On peanut butter, especially because peanut butter's
Yep.
got 8 grams of protein, 7 grams of fiber. Crush your goals. Stay on track. We're in that wobbly zone where we started the year strong and now we're already like, well, I really don't need to do that or this or that. So let's help you stick to your goals. And who doesn't love peanut butter? Unless you're allergic, hopefully not, but peanut butter every day.
Good.
Okay.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
All right, Doc. Thank you so much.
All right. It was good seeing you.
You too.
All right.
Well. I
Take
love
care.
lipstick. All right.
Thanks for joining.
Bye, everybody.